what's going on? You're now tuned in to the PVD Horror Podcast. I'm Brandon, and today I'm joined by my co-host Dave. And today we're going to be talking about our sixth episode of What Did We Just Watch? But this is not just your regular sixth episode. This is actually going to be episode 666, since we have two devil worshipping films. So it's basically focusing on like the whole satanic panic. But before we get into the film, we have two special guests, our friends Jamison King and Vickie Smalls, who are two Rhode Island-based artists who have been working on a cool project with us. Can you guys tell us, the listeners, about what we've been working on and everything that's been going on for the last month?
If you like all things horror and want to get the best horror news, interviews, and reviews,
like, subscribe, and ring that bell to follow us and satisfy all your horror needs.
Just the month.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go for it.
No, I was actually just about to say, this project is Jamison's baby. So if you want to do the honors of explaining to the nice people at home what we have been doing, you are more than welcome to do that.
My pleasure. Yeah, the comic is called The Black Apple, which is the seed of knowledge that brings upon obliteration. And it is a horror anthology in the tradition of pre-code horror anthologies with a whole bunch of horrible stuff in it. One of the stories that we're doing is a collaboration with Dave and Brendan called Sweet Mercy, which is the Lost Boys meets Mercy Brown meets the Warriors in like a Providence where Buddy Cianci ends up being the governor. And we're doing a Kickstarter with that right now, and it's wrapping up very soon, and we are that far away. See, right there. That could be you. Yeah, the book looks amazing. I did a bunch of work on it today, and we're just gonna get it off the ground.
Nice.
Yeah, no, this has definitely been a labor of love. We are publishing this through my small press, Nowhere Comics, and that's basically been a vehicle for me to put out my own work for the last few years. The Black Apple is really my first time out publishing other people's work, much less publishing eight other people's work. So this is a very exciting thing for me to be part of. And as Jamison mentioned, we are excruciatingly close to having reached our funding goal through our Kickstarter campaign. Very excited to see us getting down to the wire and being in such good shape there. But yeah, no.
So when we're saying like so close, like this is going to come out on Wednesday. I'm assuming hopefully by Wednesday we're like 80%
more close.
goal. I mean, I hope we'd be more, but like if we're 80%, we're asking everybody who's listening to please go on to our social media, Jamison, which is Wish I View, Vickie, who's got the Nowhere Comics Instagram, and like check out the Kickstarter link and go please consider giving a donation. And Vickie, I think you said it pretty perfectly when we were at one of the events about like it's not just a donation because of the perks.
Oh yeah, no. It's so the way that works, if anybody listening at home has ever donated to a Kickstarter campaign before, you know about the rewards tiers. If you give us a certain amount of money, we're going to give you some really most excellent swag in return. Depending on what level you pledge at, you could get a copy of the comic and a few sticker packs or a silkscreen poster or a mystery VHS tape that I hand select for you myself, or a cameo appearance in the next issue of the Black Apple. I think we're offering up some cool deals. For the love of God, nobody choose the sketch tier, or rather the sketch cover tier, because I have too much work on my plate right now. I don't want to do it. I am regretting.
Do it just because he's saying not to.
All right.
You guys did.
Yes. Hey, I'm really concerned about the VHS one. Are these like actual movies? Are these homemade movies? VHS? What we got going on there?
All I can say is you're gonna find out. So the VHS tier for $55, if you pledge $55 to Kickstarter, I am going to pick out a VHS tape and mail it to your house. I'm not going to tell you any more than that. There's only one way to find out what's on the tape. Get a VCR, pop it in, hit play. Uh,
Whoa.
I've been collecting VHS tapes since I was about like 14 or 15 years old. I think they are a wonderful form of analog media, and half the fun of like scooping VHS tapes from Goodwill or Savers or wherever is sometimes you pop them in and it's not what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
I think like since they are kind of an antiquated medium at this point, you don't find like random tapes that people have recorded over as often as you used to if you're just like going hunting for them in the wild. But they still pop up every now and again, and that's half the fun. You never know what's going to be on the tape until you actually play it.
Yeah, so if you end up winning Jamison's 10th birthday party, don't be mad at us, you know?
Well, I mean, Vic chose the movies for today, so you know,
Yeah.
maybe good endorsement.
Yeah. Two great films, you know. So Vic, one of the
I
movies
think
that
this is the first and last time anybody's ever going to describe Hack a Lantern as great. That's not the word I would have chosen. I'm the one who told y'all
Yeah.
to watch it, but
Yes.
Oh yeah.
yeah. So you want to start off with Hack a Lantern first? Because that was one of the films you recommended. You want to tell us why you chose this film?
oh god, yeah, no. Let's start off with Hack a Lantern. I actually rewatched it last night, so it's still like very fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
So I chose Hack a Lantern because it is one of the weirdest and just like most mind-bogglingly awful slashers I think I've ever seen in my life.
Hmm.
Um, I think for the what did we just watch segment, like there needs to be a certain element of what the fuck.
Yeah.
Hack a
Sure.
Lantern is a movie that's pretty much made entirely of what the fuck.
Yeah.
I I think the first time I watched Hack a Lantern, I actually fell asleep about maybe half an hour, 35 minutes into it. I just like kept waking up sporadically every 10 minutes, having no idea what was going on until like
Yeah, it
my
wouldn't have been
parents were
better if you
rolling.
the entire thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's where I was going with that. Like, I was rewatching it last night, and I was just like, this doesn't make any more sense now that I've been awake for the entirety of the runtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still very much Hack a Lantern. But yeah, no, it's a gem of a movie if you like using the word gem very, very loosely. Um, and I'm curious to know what everybody else thought of it.
I
Uh,
mean, it's a gem of a movie if you're talking about blood diamonds. Um, it is spectacularly incoherent. Um, like from the spontaneous music video to the spontaneous strip scene to the
Hmm.
spontaneous um, stand-up comedy routine, if you could call it that.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
fall down
terrible.
scene.
yeah.
um,
I would also just like to say, speaking of the spontaneous music video, I've had Your Devil's Son stuck in my head all goddamn fucking day. And
Mm.
I have nobody to blame but me for that one, but I'm not happy about it.
So, Vic, I had like a similar experience with this film. With the first time I watched it a couple years back, I think I paid like zero attention. I kind of dazed out, like zoned out, maybe did other things. And like, so when I started to rewatch, I was like, I remember absolutely nothing from this film. And actually,
Mm.
like, I think I had even like supplemented other movies when I was thinking of Hack a Lantern. I think I was actually thinking of scenes from other movies too, because like none of this, it was like super like new to me. It is it's pretty awesome in like the worst way though. Like there's like so much of it in this film that you're just like, where the hell did this come from? And like I know you guys just mentioned it, but that stand-up scene just threw me off so much because I was like, is this guy just literally gonna, is he just breaking out in a full stand-up routine and they think that that's like something that would happen naturally? Or like what, I didn't no idea where the hell that was coming from. And then it just kind of like moved on. So I don't know. That was bizarre.
Yeah. The one thing that stands out to me in this film so much is like the grandfather. It was just like he was just so fucking weird, man. And I'm just like, oh man. But
Oh God,
I
yeah.
think he's also plays one of the fathers in that movie, Moonstalker. So if you guys haven't checked out Moonstalker, add that to your list. That's another fucking crazy movie right there. So yeah.
It's a part. I looked up a bunch of stuff on IMDb afterwards, and
Mhm.
there was a comment describing the grandfather as Emperor Palpatine as played by Divine, and I
Mm.
think that nails it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
he
what you tell someone you want them to watch this movie.
Oh, it's
because
definitely a
no,
great movie.
I feel like the grandpa is, for starters, like arguably the only good thing in Hack a Lantern, and he also has that distinct quality of like I'm not really sure if he was acting or if they just like found this guy by the side of the road somewhere in the
Yeah.
Ozarks and rolled tape. Yeah, there's that sort of that edge of danger to the performance. You have like the distinct impression that's just like an insane person who wandered onto the set,
Mhm.
and realizing that he was in the company of other insane people who were in fact making the movie decided to stick around. But yeah, no, he's great. Like, what kind of accent is that?
I don't even know. Yeah, so like when I had me and Dave are going over like the list of the movies, and I had said, "Oh, let's check out Hack-A-Lantern." And he was just like, "Oh, you never seen that before?" And I had looked at it, I'm like, I don't think I have seen this movie. And like sometimes that's why I said to him, I texted him, I was like, "Oh, I'm surprised you've seen it." But he said that like Joe Bob had it on like one of his seasons.
Hmm.
So I think I missed that episode. But like when watching the movie, there was probably like a few scenes that probably like came to mind that I had like the movie came on once, probably when it was like on Tubi when it just was on random. But in full, I never watched the film before, so going back, I think that was like a good recommendation because I had never seen this film in full, probably just like certain bits and pieces of it. So putting it all together, it was like a fun ride film, crazy with all the fucking mask and devil worshipping and shit. So I think this was definitely a great recommendation. And for all our listeners, if you have not checked this film out, definitely add it to your list. Dave, is there anything else you want to
Would
add on
you
this?
would you say this would be a good one for like a movie night
I
with
think so. It
people?
definitely would. It definitely
Yeah.
I,
would.
I think like
I
you need a group of like 4 or 5 people, just like saying funny shit, and
Yeah.
that would make that movie significantly better.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think that's what's missing in this movie. Like some cheesy movies like this that we've watched for this, there's almost like it's almost like they're not taking themselves or they're taking themselves seriously, but it's like still feels light. This movie, I got the impression like it was very like it just was very serious.
Hmm.
It didn't feel to me like it was like light at all on their end. It's like, no, this is legit. This is real. I mean, I don't know. The last like 30 minutes of it though, I was like, maybe I like this. I was like, I think I like this movie a lot, actually. And it's like, I got to see where this is going. There was a couple of cool kills at the end. So
Yeah.
the
yeah,
cemetery one with the shovel to the head, I thought was pretty awesome. But then there was like the most bizarre one, which I think a lady died from getting her boobs strangled in her
yep,
dress.
the boobs.
Yep, that's what happens.
That's what
It's a
happened.
relatively rare cause of death, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
you'd be surprised just how easy it is to just what the fuck. I had completely forgotten about that. That particular detail had mercifully slipped from my mind until you mentioned it just now. I also realized we've been talking about this movie for like probably 5 to 10 minutes now, and we haven't actually like addressed the plot. I
Yeah,
feel like
thank
that's
you.
because I don't know where to start. If you ask me what the plot of Hackland
Isn't there,
actually
or it's in a
was, like, I don't know what I'd tell you.
Yeah, I
It,
don't think they even know.
Yeah.
I don't.
it's a
yeah,
it's Dada. It's
Yeah.
like I think Marcel Duchamp directed that movie.
I
I
guess like
also couldn't figure
the
out
only
why
thing
they.
Yeah. Well, I
I
have.
hate Zoom. It's terrible.
Well,
But
it's funny.
anyways,
I have this. We like to take down like comments that people leave on Letterboxd. So here's a few. Hella sleazy, hella cheesy, bad acting, ample boobage, satanic cults, sacrifices, festive Halloween vibes, romantic first date cemetery sex, decent kills, cool devil mask, pitchfork wielding killers, random atrocious stand-up comedy, and the creepiest grandpa ever. I think they nailed the nail on the head on this one right here.
Yeah,
And
no, that's it. That's the movie right there.
yeah, and someone else put, this is one of those movies where it seems like the filmmakers were open to anything and all ideas while filming. They was like, "Hey, my friend is a stripper. Think you can get her a scene? Sure. I have a hilarious Halloween themed stand-up routine. Got any place for it? No, but I think we'll make one. I do this belly dancing thing with two snakes. Will that make it into your film? I don't see why not." This fucking movie was just fucking crazy. So, like I said, those were two comments left
Yeah.
on Letterboxd for satanic. No, for Hack-O-Lantern. So
I found a little interesting bit of trivia on IMDb about this film. So it was actually featured on the People's Court in February of 2021 when Massacre Video, who had released the Blu-ray, went up against someone who had uploaded it to their YouTube channel. So look at Hack-O-Lantern getting on public television. That's pretty awesome. And I bet nobody in that like courtroom had ever heard or seen this movie. So that must have been pretty interesting for them.
we'll have to look it up and see if like the grandfather had to go to court for them.
Yeah.
I think that movie don't belong to them. That's our movie.
Yeah, like who won the case?
That's a great question. I'm assuming.
I don't think they're alive anymore.
They
Mm.
So if this is what IMDb has as the plot to this, a kindly old grandfather is actually the leader of a murderous satanic cult which sacrifices its victims on Halloween. I guess that's a thing that happened.
I mean, like, yeah, that's what this movie is about in the sense that I don't know, like
Yeah.
Titanic is a movie about boats. Like, yeah, you're not wrong. There's a lot more in there though.
Yeah.
So overall, you guys recommend this to all your friends?
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Hands down.
I'm gonna go with yes, and this will be one that we will be recommending to people constantly as well now.
Without reservation.
Yes.
So now the second film is called The Black Circle Boys. Vic, why did you recommend this film?
Okay, so Black Circle Boys is actually something that I came to relatively recently. I discovered this movie about midway through last year, and yeah, as I was watching the end credits roll on that first viewing, I thought to myself like, yeah, this is one of my favorite movies now, like top 10 easily. So I've honestly just been like trying to force everybody I meet to watch Black Circle Boys like systematically over the course of the last 6 months. Because it's not a good movie, it's a great movie, and I think it just demands to be seen. Um, I think like Black Circle Boys really hits all of the sweet spots for me. I have a thing for early 90s teens gone bad movies. River's Edge has been one of my favorites since I was a kid. Really big fan of like Harmony Korine and Larry Clark's work, all of that stuff. And yeah, this is like the kind of movie that Larry Clark would make if he suffered an extremely severe blow in the head. So yeah, there's juvenile delinquency, there's people not understanding how drugs work, there's Satanism, there's Lisa Loeb in a 15-second cameo, there's fun little goth outfits, there's more homoeroticism than I knew you could like cram into a single frame. Dear God, like yeah, maybe this isn't the movie that Larry Clark would make if he suffered a severe blow to the head. It's a movie that Gregor Rocky would make if he suffered a severe blow to the head. But yeah, no, I think it's just a fabulously bad time. I love everything about this movie, and I'm very glad I could inflict it on all three of you.
Yeah.
Jameson, have you seen this before?
I watched it with Vic.
Oh, there you go.
It is a movie that was definitely made. Um, it's funny that Vic's talking about teen movies when there are literally no teenagers in this movie. Everybody is like 35, playing high school students. Uh, one of my favorite things was the mic, the boom mic that dropped down in like the second scene.
Mm.
And one of the things that I kept thinking while I was watching it is that it would have been made significantly better if they replaced all of the actors with the cast to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Also, basically both of those movies with the cast of Always Sunny would be pretty astounding.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, so if we're replacing the cast of Black Circle Boys with the cast of It's Always Sunny, who plays Donnie Wahlberg?
Donnie Wahlberg.
I feel like that's
You
got
just
to
have
be
to bring him in.
one of the McBoyles.
Yeah.
A pretty good one-to-one substitution.
Yeah.
I could get into that.
Nah. So the Black Circle Boys, for everyone at home, is a 1997 American drama film written and directed by Matthew Carnahan. Runtime's about 100 minutes. Like we just talked about, Donnie Wahlberg's in it, and Dee Wallace also makes a cameo in there as, well, appearance as the mom.
Yeah.
So the tagline for this film is "Evil is as evil does," and so I'm just gonna tell you guys what it's about. It's about a young man who moves to a new town after experiencing tragedy and becomes involved in a gang of Satan worshiping teens who believe they have supernatural powers, but by the time he realizes he's in too deep, it may be too late to escape. But the main thing about the Black Circle Boys here, it's actually based on a true story. From back in the days from Ricky Casso, teen who murdered his friend while they were blitzed on LSD. Ricky is also known as the Acid King. The murders took place during the time of like the satanic panic, and there's lots of books based on this story called Say You Love Me, Say You Love Satan, and the Acid King. So there was a scene in the movie that, when he's stabbing the kid and slicing him, like he was forcing him in real life to say you love Satan, but the kid would say, I love your mother. And then so he just kept on getting upset and killed him. There's a lot of documentaries you can check up on this film. It's called The Devil Worshippers, Devil Worship, Exposing Satan's Underground, and The Killer Kids. And the Black Circle Boy is not the only film that was made about this. There's also a movie called Ricky Six. It has yet to be released in either theaters or on home video. But however, there's a bootleg VHS and DVD copies that have been going around, so you can probably get your hands on that if you can like deep dive online. I know some of you guys might be able to find that, so if you might want to check it out, it's called Ricky Six.
Get on the black web, probably find it. The dark
Yeah.
web. So
No, but it was actually in film festival, so you can probably I don't think you need to go on the black web or anything like that. So
I didn't realize that this was based on a true story. Or that true story. I knew that this was like loosely based on something. I didn't realize I'd heard about that story before. So that's interesting.
So basically every scene is kind of like, put together from some of the reports that were out there on the film. And the story also had a big impact on a lot of songs and albums around the time. So basically the character Shane is very loosely based on Ricky. So, there's a lot of scenes in the movie, like we talked about, like when there was like the drugs were missing. That's what basically made Ricky kind of go on that killing spree, because he kind of noticed like down the line, a lot of his drugs were always missing. And that's people in his circle club, the Black Circle Club were actually like stealing from him. And so just kind of goes off.
It's interesting how like this film, I feel like almost advertises itself as like a devil worshipping film, or like it's about Satan, but like I feel like that's such a small minor part of the film. It's actually like just about, I don't know, teens gone wrong or troubled kids, and there's a big part of it that's like about how little like the adults actually understand or really make an attempt to understand, and they just have like their ideas of how to interact with them and shit like that. So I feel like it's the Satan part of it is like so minimal, but I mean obviously it's the thing that like caused all the media hype at with the satanic panic, like you said. So I don't know. I thought it was a decent film. Like I thought the story was pretty interesting. I mean, it felt like indie to me, so I like kind of went in with like certain expectations. But like storyline, I was like, this is interesting. I don't know.
It reminded me of that other movie that we watched a long time ago with the kids, and the kid had the sword and he killed his friend.
Oh,
What was that? I forgot it.
uh, yes, Super Dark Times, right?
Yeah, Super Dark Times. It's kind of reminds me of Super Dark Times.
Oh yeah, I've actually been meaning to watch Super Dark Times for a while
Yeah,
because
you would
yeah,
like
that
it if you
also
like
looks like
this.
it's kind of in that sweet spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
All
That's a,
right,
that's a
cool.
great film. Um, so some things that were like great about like I mean the movie kind of moves pretty quickly, I would say. Like, he goes from like the very beginning, you get an idea of like who he was before the film. His friend passes away, so he's grieving and he's like, kind of like struggling to move
Hmm.
on, it feels like, or get back into the stuff that he was into. So he's kind of like going off on this different path. His parents are worried about him, but they don't know how to like connect with him. Dee Wallace, I think, did a good job as playing his mom. Um, and then like, he's kind of idolizing those kids that are causing all the trouble. And it reminded me, I was thinking about this, it reminded me like when I was in school, like you always idolized those kids that are like the worst kids. Like now looking back at them, like, wow, that kid was like 21 in middle school. And I was like, oh, he's awesome. And I was like, I wasn't thinking like, oh, he probably has like a pretty bad home life, or like
Hmm.
maybe things aren't going his way so well. And that's why he's so angry all the time. I'm like, oh man, that kid just kicked someone in the head. That's so cool. But that's like what this kind of guy
Hey,
kind of fell into. So I mean, it was like I feel like it was kind of realistic. Like that could happen to anybody. Like you're kind
Yeah.
of struggling to feel connected to people, and you just kind of like gravitate to, I don't know, the thing that feels like a little bit dangerous and also kind of just like enticing. So
Yeah, it seemed like he was just going downhill, after being involved in that whole situation. And then his dad just taking on a new job. And then D Wallace saying, your dad put you in mind for taking this job, moving you to kind of get you away from everything. But it seemed like that's also not what he wanted. So it
yeah,
kind of made things a little worse for him. But yeah, like he was an all-American swimmer and he kind of like threw that all down the drain. He didn't want anything to do with it. The family, the teacher try to get him involved. The principal, he made a comment about why do all normal kids come to my school and then they become criminals? You know what I mean? So it's just like it's weird, but it's sometimes some towns are set up that way. You know what I mean? Like you said, Dave, like it's easy to kind of fall into that trap of looking up to certain kids, but I think that's a thing that kind of goes through a lot of new kids' heads. You know what I mean? Like, what was it? Probably like middle of, it's probably like his junior year or
yeah,
something, going into high school. So, like, having to start over probably just, it really fucks with you. So,
yeah.
uh,
If you're already being told that you're bad, you're just gonna like gravitate to other kids who are bad.
yeah.
So I feel like he already kind of felt like he got like, put in that light. So it's like, fuck it.
it
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
a
and I think
certain
like
complete rejection of his previous life too.
Hmm.
Like he had an extraordinary traumatic experience, and then they moved, and he just took everything that had been behind him and just threw it away. It's like
Yeah.
tried to get distance himself from it as much as humanly possible. And
Yeah.
drugs and kids who wear black, that's one way of doing it. And
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
because he
say
was
Yeah.
I
like
think this
watching
is
swimming. I'm sorry, but I was just gonna say he was like watching like
yeah.
the people swimming, like kind of, he's like sitting there smoking a cigarette and stuff, but he's still like watching something that he was like, because he was a swimmer before, right?
Hmm.
And it's like, so he's almost like he's like like thinking about like how that's a part of who he is, but he can't pull himself to do it, or he's like doing the opposite of that when he's instead of swimming, he's like smoking a cigarette, which kind of like those two, swim and smoke cigarettes at the same time. I don't think so. Kind of
Hmm.
the furthest from that he could get almost.
I mean, I think if they had included like at least one scene of the protagonist chain smoking while swimming, that would have been dope,
I
honestly.
would, I
Like
would
10
Mm.
of 10. Maybe that's in the director's cut. It's a deleted scene.
Director's cut.
But yeah, no, I think like one thing that you touched on, Brandon, I think like as far as things about this movie that are like genuinely kind of affecting as opposed to just like really fucking dumb is that it's a fairly accurate portrait of what it's like to grow up in a small town.
Yeah.
Um, I am a suburban expatriate. I grew up in a town that's probably like about the same size as the one in this movie, and yeah, you get to a certain age, there really isn't anything to do except like listen to deicide and commit acts of juvenile delinquency.
Mm.
I think like some people end up being better adjusted than others. You make it out of that alive or you don't. But yeah, no, it does tap into this kind of like 90s suburban wasteland malaise that I've always like been very attracted to depictions of that on film just because it's something that I more or less lived through.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, like that aspect of it does ring very true. I feel like
Mhm.
the people who made this movie probably were tapping into life experiences.
Yeah.
Because yeah, there's that one scene where they're just like getting fucked up and breaking into people's houses and stealing their guns, and there's that sequence of the whole black circle just being couch glue and watching Transformers and having a
Mhm.
conversation about the vagaries of being a robot that can turn into a car and the existential underpinnings. Like I've had that conversation with so many fucking people, or just
Mhm.
like some variation thereof. Like yeah, that's real shit. So there are like little moments of just like truth or humor that I think like shine through the general incompetence of the production here and there. Yeah, it's like it's a movie that does have heart to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It was like finding out that it's based on a true story. You have to kind of look at it in a whole different way now. So it's like, oh, okay. Like, so it's just kind of like they just did the whole Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix. They had to keep on, tapping on like every little current event that kind of happened and then kind of add in like a little bit of something else to keep the viewer engaged into the series, something that may have not happened, and then you have people talking about it saying that didn't happen, but that's what happens. Like that's why it says based on like a true
Yeah.
story, but it's like loosely based on his character. So, but I thought it was cool the first time that they met. There was like a few funny scenes when he was in school. He said, "Oh, you guys looking for a drummer?" And he goes, you're part of the band, right?" He goes, "It's a kick-ass band, super duper fucking hardcore, none of that pussy shit." So it's like I don't know how you can use the word super duper and hardcore together.
That was the 90s, man.
Different time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the band practice? That was pretty interesting watching them all play their instruments with like zero direction and zero
Play.
skill. Yeah, exactly.
Oh
Yeah.
god, it's like
That was
I,
every
horrible.
I've
fucking
been at
band I
that
was in
band.
high school.
I've been at that band practice more than once.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yeah.
okay, we need some lessons.
And the
Yeah.
concert scene was pretty wild too. There's just like so much stuff happened in that one scene, from like the girl getting all like wild with him when he walked in to
Mhm.
the brawl that happens in the end. Which I still don't really understand why the lead singer of that band punched. Was it Shane? Not Shane that he punched.
Mhm.
Like I don't really get why he hit him, or he kicked him. Right? He kicked him. That was
Yeah.
started the brawl. He kicks him. I'm
Oh,
like,
shit.
I'm still trying to figure that out because he's like, you should come play with us or something like that. And then he like kicks him. I'm like, that's a dick move.
So some
Mm.
people just like have more punchable faces than others, I
Yeah, he definitely
guess.
did actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
he just had it coming.
Yeah, and it's so crazy too. So here's another fucking tidbit for this episode. So that kid that actually was the lead actor, I want to say it was like around 2003, he was actually arrested for child molestation.
Ooh.
Oh
Yeah,
Jesus.
so this movie just takes so many fucking turns. You'd find out it's fucking based on a true story, and then the lead actor is a fucking scumbag.
Wow,
So yeah,
that is horrible.
The
That's
pile of shame.
layers.
yeah. But let's get to our letterbox comments.
I was gonna say that's like the opposite of a fun fact. That was a fact, and I'm not having fun now.
Oh no, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't. Did I say fun fact? I didn't mean to say
Yeah,
fun fact.
you
If I
might have.
did,
It's a
you
fun
might want
fact.
to edit that out. But
No,
I'm sorry. I
it's a
didn't mean.
fact. I mean, it's just a fact. That's
Yeah,
all.
if I
An
said fun fact,
unfun fact,
Yeah.
if you will.
yeah. Eeh. So letterbox comment like Deathgasm, but not sexy and also very shitty.
Damn, dude.
Boy version of The Craft, but worse.
People who shit on this film, huh?
Yeah, no, I don't think a lot of people liked it. You know, a lot of people said they like the cover art better than the movie because that was the thing. It was just like going into this film, I guess in the 90s, trying like thinking it's a horror film and it's not
Yeah.
really. And you know, I think that kind of like pisses off a lot of
Yeah.
people, you know, because
That's what I'm saying. They like went heavy with like the satanic lean on it, and it's not a satanic film. It's
yeah.
just that's just an element of it. But like also isn't that kind of like highlighting like what satanic panic was in the first place? There was like
Mhm.
absolutely nothing satanic about it. It's just a bunch of events that happened and people kind of clinging to the idea of Satanism, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and that's the thing too, because what was it like the broken bridge in over in East Providence,
yeah,
like
the
in that
Crooked Point
tunnel.
Bridge, yeah.
Yeah, in the tunnel, they were saying that's where a lot of satanic panic stuff was happening. They would have like satanic raves and stuff down there, but
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are, I guess they were saying it was just like a college party or something like that, and the police kind of like labeled it as that because it was around that time.
Yeah. So
So,
there's a monastery in the town that I've grown up in, and they
mhm.
always said that people were performing satanic rituals and animal sacrifices in the woods. So we weren't supposed to go in there at night, and of course, you know that means we got to go in there at night. But
Right.
unfortunately, I never got to witness any of that stuff as much as I wanted to.
Hmm.
So I think we all had a little bit of element of that if you grew up, you know, in the '90s, early 2000s, even.
Yeah, one of the other things I in the 90s growing up, it was like the killer clowns, like the people in the vans and stuff like that coming to get you and shit. So that was like one thing that
Satan
was
and pedophiles we
uh
were like terrified of, right?
yep.
Well, as it turns out, this movie combined all two of those things.
Yes.
Nah.
Yep.
Wow. It all came full circle just now.
Full
That's
Oh, Black
circle.
Circle.
full black
Black
boys.
circle.
Yeah, full black circle boys.
Ah,
I
shit.
think you just brought it home. That was awesome.
Yeah. So is there anything else you guys want to sit there and throw out about these films? Something
Yeah,
that we
I
probably
think
missed.
like my favorite letterboxed review of Black Circle Boys is one sentence, simply a compelling exploration of what it was like to be named Kyle in the 90s.
Oh,
And
I
I
see
think
that
like
one.
that's this fucking movie in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, no, if you're listening and you don't really value your brain cells, like absolutely go watch Black Circle Boys. You'll have fun, I promise.
I was really confused because somebody at some point said something about this film, like, "Oh, that's what's that?" Do you guys know what the movie was with the Culkin kid? Well, he's an adult, but it's about the Norwegian black metal.
Yeah.
Until the light takes us.
Somebody
Yeah.
said, "Oh, well, Black Circle Boys, that's the real version of that." And I was like, so I went in thinking it was something to do with that. I was like, this has nothing to do with that story at all. So
Hmm.
I was very confused and yeah, a little disappointed because I was like, oh, Norwegian black metal, that story would have been maybe a little bit more interesting. But I actually, now that I know that this is loosely based on a true story, I'm actually looking at
Yeah.
it.
I mean, one of my post comments after we watched that movie was that if it had had a slightly better production value and a really good soundtrack, because there's like there's the band that they go see, but there really isn't any
Yeah.
music in it,
Yeah.
and like a serious heavy metal soundtrack would have elevated that movie a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was listening to somebody talking about this film, and they said the movie's entire budget went to the guitar and the amp that he gets for the drugs and
Mhm.
so that's where they spent all their money. Apparently, was on those things.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think so.
And like the 15-second John Doe cameo, they might have dropped a couple bucks on that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They could afford John Doe, but they couldn't afford the X catalog. Sad trombones.
The only other thing that really stuck out to me about this film that I wanted to bring up was it felt very climactic. Like there was a big like scene at the end, but then like I felt like I rewound. I was like, did what else happens? Like I felt like I missed something almost. It felt very just like I don't know, abrupt, I guess, the end. Like they have this like duel, this fight, and then it just felt like nothing really major happened. I don't know if you guys experienced that at all, or if it was just my experience, but I felt like it was the ending was a little bit of a letdown. I'm saying
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
the ending comes across as like they just straight up ran out of film. It's
yeah,
like, well,
right.
Mhm.
Okay,
that's all
so
we got, guys.
yes.
It's a
All right. So
wrap.
thank you for
Yeah.
saying that because I literally had to rewind and was like, did I miss something? Did I look away for like a second and miss something? But like, no, I didn't miss anything. It just there was nothing to it.
Yeah, and I
Oh
think the
yeah, no,
last
it just
words that the main actor said, I guess you really couldn't understand what he was saying too. Like there was a lot of people making comments about that, like, what the fuck did he even say at the end?
That's the best way to end a movie.
Yeah.
And then just
yeah, no. Also, like, shout outs to this movie for having like the worst fucking sound design I've ever
yeah.
encountered in my life. Like,
Mm.
I had to watch it with subtitles.
Oh, okay.
It's just it's because they took the boom mic out of the goddamn shot. If they had just kept it in there,
They were
we
so
would
nervous about it happening again. So they were like kept it
yeah,
very
they were
far
just like,
away.
we're gonna like hold the boom mic like about 500 feet back just to
Mm.
make sure. Keep it
That'd be
away
awesome
from the
if that's the
cameras.
true story behind it, though. They were like, we're just very terrified of it falling into the shot again.
Yeah, no, you can't let it anywhere near the actors. Like all hell
Mm.
will break loose.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think like I've watched this movie like without subtitles once, and I could understand like maybe every seventh word, give or take a few.
Mm.
It's impressively bad.
I did like take breaks while I was watching this. Like I stepped away a few times, um, got myself a beer a couple of times, things like that, and like didn't feel like I missed much.
Yeah.
Even though I felt like the story kind of goes at a decent pace, there was definitely some scenes where I was like, yeah, I'm not missing anything. I could step away. So like this is kind of a casual watch, I feel.
Yeah. And
Why do Brandon, I want to say, like, why is it that we always find this balance with the movies we pick? Like, that was not intentional with this. I don't feel like we purposely were like, oh, we're going to get one crazy ass film and then we're going to get
Mhm.
one that more like, I don't know, less horror-ish or something. I don't know how you would describe our.
Yeah, I guess it just works out. It's just the way it works. I think it's we roll the dice and that's what happens. We just look at the names sometimes and we're like, all right, this sounds good. That sounds good. And we roll with that because sometimes we like this, like we said, there's a list of movies that we haven't seen. So it's kind of just cool, like, to kind of like just choose random ones and
Yeah.
say, hey, that's what it comes down to. So I don't think there's any
It's
real
just
explanation about
coincidence.
behind it.
Yeah. I actually wanted to do this movie in particular.
Hmm.
When Vickie sent the list, I was like, oh, Black Circle Boys definitely want to do that
Yeah.
because someone had recommended it when we did like one of the posts asking for people's recommendations.
I think she did.
Yeah, I went
Yeah,
back to the list. I was like, oh, it was actually Vickie that recommended it before, and then recommended it again when you sent the list. I was like,
Mhm.
I didn't realize that when we
I
said
really wanted to get this one in there.
We
Like
got it
I
in.
feel very passionately about like forcing everyone in my life to watch Black Circle Boys. So we're
it.
getting there. We're gonna reach
Mission
like peak
succeeded.
Black Circle saturation soon. We're not quite there yet.
No, I can appreciate the passion that you have for this satanic film.
Now, Dave,
So,
where would you place this episode in the rankings? What did we just watch?
these films would go a little bit lower than some of the other ones. Like Hack-O
Mhm.
Lantern, I liked, but I didn't like it
Yeah.
as much as like Deadly Spawn or even Hard Rock Zombies.
Hmm.
Hard Rock Zombies, ironically, has a much not ironically because it's Hard Rock Zombies, has a much better soundtrack than Black Circle Boys. They could have borrowed some of the Hard Rock Zombie songs if you guys
Hmm.
have watched that. Those songs are pretty good. But I don't know, the pacing of some of the movies we've watched are just very crazy, and some of those were hard to beat. So I don't know. It wasn't as strong to me as our last two episodes. I know that.
Yeah, but it was a good episode. It was a
For
good
sure,
episode.
for sure.
It was a fun episode.
Hack and Lantern is one that, like, yeah, I'm interested in hearing other people's opinions of, if they watch it after hearing us talk about it. Well, then I'll say bless you. But also, like, I'm really interested to hear what people will say about it after they watch it, because I just want to hear someone try to make sense of it.
Yeah, I think it would have. Black Circle Boys, like we said, we know that it was a terrible movie, but making it like based on the true story, kind of brings down the value a little bit for me. And so it's like to the other movies, it's like I like to go into and kind of have a fun time looking at those other like all the stats and everything that happened. It kind of was like little letdowns and stuff like that would have actually happened, and with the main character doing the things that he did. So
Yes.
that kind of brings that shit down for me. But like you said, Hack a Lantern was a great movie. I put that up there with like all the other fun movies that we had talked about so far in this series. So hey, it was a good time, and especially this episode right here, just having Vickie and Jamison on, and just being able to talk about it with other
Oh
people.
yeah, yeah.
It's,
I wasn't judging them
no,
on
no, 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 no. I'm
on the
saying
films.
I'm giving more hype to the movies.
Yeah.
It was a fun time.
Yeah. So I guess one thing I wanted to kind of highlight, because we didn't really mention it much in the beginning, but aside from collabing on this comic book venture, the two of you have also been collabing on some cool prints and stuff for our movie screenings we've been doing at
Hmm.
Buttonwoods. So we had Troll 2 and we have Alligator. Does anyone have one of the posters? So if people on YouTube would be able to see them, does anyone have a poster? No.
Yeah, that's all you. I do not have them with me.
There, I think everything's in the car. Hold on.
Okay, yeah. If not, that's cool. But like, that's been a nice little added addition to the movie events, is having these special edition posters for them that you can only get at the event. Or one of the perks is actually getting, I think, the Troll 2 poster as well on the Kickstarter. Oh, there's the alligator one. I love that one.
Nice.
So if you guys are watching on YouTube, you can see it. But if you're listening, it's an alligator coming out of a toilet bowl. And then it has the logo and all that stuff, and from the movie night. So that was a great time. We just did that this past
Body
week.
parts.
And body parts flying and all throughout the
Yeah.
Jameson. That was a surprising turnout to me. I wasn't sure how many people would come out to see Alligator, but I was pleasantly surprised, and it was a beautiful night.
Yeah, no, like Alligator was actually pretty dope.
Yeah.
I had never
Yeah.
seen it before. It just came in totally cold, but like I really enjoyed it. So I think that was a solid pick.
Yeah, definitely. That's like on the list. If anybody that's listening now has not seen Alligator, definitely put on the list. It's kind of like Jaws, but with a big alligator that lives underground. It was flushed down the toilet years ago, and he comes back to wreak havoc.
I have to say, those sewers were like pristine. There's a scene when he's like, one of the guys is like going around in the sewers, and I was like, damn, those look so clean. Like, that is not how I envisioned sewers in the city looking at all.
Yeah.
But I would love to. Actually, it reminded me of like Ghostbusters in Ghostbusters 2, I think, when
Yeah,
there's
with the
sewers.
slime.
Oh, yeah, these were significantly cleaner. Like someone had just shined the walls, it looked like.
Shine the walls.
So you guys are going to be doing prints for some of the upcoming events too?
That is correct. I actually started laying down the pencils for the Lost Boys poster. That's going to be Friday, September 15th. You guys are screening Lost Boys at Buttonwoods Brewery. Yeah, starting pencils for that one today. So I think that one's gonna be fun. I do love me some vampires.
I think it's probably going to be like the most fun time anyone could ever have.
Hmm.
And it
Yeah,
sucks if someone
basically.
can't make that one, because like that is going to be a great time.
No,
Jameson,
there
there's
is
something.
literally never a bad time to watch The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
So I'm very much looking forward to that.
So
Yeah.
Jameson's going to be at Run the Jewels at night, and will not be in attendance, unfortunately, for him.
But we
So,
respect that. We're big fans of Run the Jewels, so it's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
but I still feel bad.
You
Like
don't
they
have to.
really,
It's okay.
yeah, no, but I wanted to see the Lost Boys.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen the Lost Boys, and I haven't seen On the Jewels. But you know, it's a weird thing. There were emotions happening to me. Um, I actually watched Jason Lives today,
Oh,
and did
nice.
a couple of about just spitballing some ideas. One of the things that I really want to do is I want to silk screen headbands that say "dead" on them for that event,
Oh, okay.
because that would be freaking awesome.
Yeah, from the paintball scene.
Yeah,
Yep.
That is definitely a fun Friday the 13th. I'm actually surprised we haven't done it yet. Um,
Well,
but
there's so many good ones,
I
so
know, I know. That one definitely doesn't take itself too seriously.
yeah, CJ Graham.
Yep, yep. That paintball scene is bananas. So that's gonna be
Yeah.
a good time. But the Lost Boys event is going to be, hopefully it's going to be a special one, because we are hoping to sort of celebrate the comic book.
Hmm.
So hopefully there's some, we're towards it being available around that time. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't even say any of these words out loud. We'll see. We'll see. Some of that will be dependent on the Kickstarter. So again, we're really hoping people will check that out, get the links on any of our social media. But also we're going to be doing a special collab beer with Buttonwoods Brewery, called One of Us, and it's going to be a blood red sour, blood moon red sour.
Yeah.
So we're really excited about that. I'll kind of leave the details out until it gets done to see how, because I don't want to jinx anything. But yeah, that September 15th event is going to be awesome. And then, Brandon, we announced a few other events coming up in October. We have a super busy month. We're still working on stuff. But can you tell everybody what we have set in stone so far?
Yeah, we're gonna have part 3 of our little pop-up shop of horrors. So that's gonna be on October 1st, where we have a lot of vendors from Rhode Island, Massachusetts that's gonna come out and, be cool vendors. And I think some vendors even from Connecticut also. So, they're
We
gonna
got
come
New
down.
Hampshire.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, we got
All over.
yeah, I just locked in two from New Hampshire recently.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of all over.
Yeah, so it'll be a good time. This is gonna be our third one, like I said earlier. It's gonna be a fun time. Then we're gonna come back again on, for Friday the 13th, where we just talked about. And then we're gonna have our hard trivia part 2. So we're
Yeah,
gonna do that with Sean Fitz from over at Buttonwoods Brewery. The first turnout was actually great. So if you're a big trivia fan, definitely come on down. We had a good time. Shout out to the winners from the first one. I don't want to say any names. They know who
yeah,
they are, but
yeah.
it's gonna be a big target on their backs, for this one. And let's see, on the 27th, we're gonna come back again for Rock the Dead, our Halloween karaoke party. So definitely come out, wear your costumes, come out to win, you know, try wearing the best thing. There's gonna be other stuff. We're gonna have raffles and stuff like that too. So definitely come out. It's gonna be a good time.
Yep. The pop up, the trivia, the karaoke, those are all free events. Our movie nights are always ticketed.
Yep.
That's just helping us to get the licensing rights and all the other stuff that goes into running those. But the other events are free. So if you're one of those people that always goes to free events, definitely make sure you check these out.
Yep.
I'm super excited about the pop up because it is going to be a little bit different in style than others, just because we're really opening up like to different types of vendors. We're going to have oddities, art, authors, taxidermy, all sorts of things, anything that we think is like Halloween related. So really hoping you guys enjoy that. So Jamison and Vickie, why don't you guys plug all your stuff, tell people where to find you, what you're working on, all that stuff.
All right, Jameson, you first.
Me first. You can find me as Wish I View on most things. Actually, pretty much all things. Actually, everything. And view is spelled wrong. VEIW. The only thing the things that I've majorly been working on have been the Black Apple with these folks, and I have also my own ongoing comic, Death Bunny, about a homicidal barbarian rabbit, and then the posters, and that's all the stuff.
Awesome.
Their turn.
All right. So if you are looking for me, you can mostly find me on Instagram. My account is at Nowhere Comics, comics with an X, Comix. If you want to see more of my visual art and non-comic stuff, go to vickiesmalls.net. I have a bunch of work uploaded there. The Black Apple has been definitely taking up like the majority of my time lately. That's the big project right now. But I have a few other irons in the fire. I have been doing some design work like pretty consistently for the last couple of years for Murphy's in downtown Providence. I do their chalkboards. That's what I'm going to be doing next week. So pop into Murphy's, like have a Guinness, check out the fall chalkboard anytime after August 24th. I'll have a new one up. As far as events around town, I am very pleased to announce that Drink and Draw Deadbeats is going to be a monthly night from here on out.
Yeah.
That was something that Jamison and I put together just as a fundraiser for the Black Apple. It was awesome. We got a ton of people in the bar. Jeff and Courtney just want to keep the ball rolling on that. So we don't have a date locked down officially for the September drink and draw, but we're looking at the 19th. Definitely keep an eye on my social media account and Jamison's social media accounts for more information about that. I'm really looking forward to drinking and drawing with all of y'all. I feel like I have at least one other project that I'm just forgetting to mention, but I also like almost always have at least 5 or 6 things going on at once.
Yeah.
So there's always some shit.
Rounded busy. I got to say that drink and draw thing was pretty awesome. Like I'd
Oh
never
yeah,
been to
that
one
was a good
before,
time.
and I was like just shocked seeing how many people either came in with their own stuff like ready to go, or just picked up a pad and pencil and started to kind of just go with it. I loved seeing that because I wasn't sure like what that would look like. What like I even said to you guys, I didn't know if like I thought people were going to come in and you guys were going to draw for everybody. I was like, that's going to be like a lot of work, but I didn't realize people just draw them like they are the ones drawing. So
No,
cool setup. Nice turnout.
It's a social event,
Yeah.
and like you come in, you draw, and you talk to other people, and the we were expecting some people. We were not expecting the turnout that we got, where we filled every seat in the bar.
Yeah.
And the response was overwhelmingly positive. The response for pretty much all of the projects that we've been, the horror related projects that we've been doing as of late, has been astoundingly positive. It's almost, it's humbling.
Can I just point out, Jameson, just like not to cut you off, but I also like just along those lines too, like just kind of like acknowledging how like this all developed too. Like we ran into each other at Necronomicon, I think, and that's kind of what like spawned this stuff. But
Yeah.
like in such an organic way, like starting at a horror event and then just continuing networking and meeting. Like I just think that that's such a like cool thing that seems to happen, especially in like the Providence or Rhode Island horror scene. Like people just
Yeah.
working together, meeting at events, and like going off and doing stuff. So it was like such an organic like origin, you know?
Yeah,
And
no, and I feel like people around here are always doing interesting things. You talk to any 2 people, you're gonna hear about like 5 projects that you want to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely agree with you there.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. Well, guys, thank you both so much for being here, for suggesting the movies, and chatting with us about them. Again, I know we keep saying it, but make sure everybody just check that Kickstarter. We only got like 2 days to go by the time this comes out. So we're just hoping to like make it to that end point. We're so close at this point. And we ultimately are doing this because we want people to see a horror anthology comic that, you know, we kind of believe in, and with stories that we believe in. So we think that everybody will dig it. Otherwise, we wouldn't even bother putting it together. So
it is a good book.
Yeah.
I'm consistently amazed every time I look at it, and I look at it every day. Um, but it is very good, and
yeah,
I'd like to see it become a regular thing, with a way to reach out to other artists and other story makers, and
yeah,
make a thing that keeps happening.
yeah. And I promise, if you guys take a look at those perks on the Kickstarter, you know, you're not going to feel like you're just throwing your money away, because the perks are cool. I know I signed up for a couple myself,
Yep.
because I was like, I want that. So I think you guys will agree.
All right, just be aware that if you select the sketch cover reward and you request that I do it, I'm hiding a dick in there somewhere. So like if you're cool with that, go ahead. Otherwise, go from the VHS tape.
I mean, it's hidden, so you know they can't lose. So, all right, thank you guys for listening. Hopefully, you guys will check out Hack-O-Lantern and Black Circle Boys, and then circle back to us and let us know what you think. We're excited to hear your thoughts on these two films, and yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Have a good night.
Take it easy.